The rain arrived earlier than expected that morning, falling softly across Han River like a curtain drawn over a stage. Seoul had a way of hiding its secrets in the mist, and on mornings like this, rumors traveled faster than light. Yibo stood alone in the practice studio, the sound of his motorcycle helmet hitting the wooden bench echoing against the walls. He had filmed all night, barely sleeping, but exhaustion wasn't the reason for the sharp pain tightening in his chest. It was the message. A single, short text from their manager. "Bo, there's a rumor going around that you got someone pregnant." He stared at the message again, the words spreading through him like cold water. It wasn't true. It couldn't be. But rumors never cared about truth.
His phone buzzed a second time.
A name on the screen he didn't want to see right now.
Zhan Xiao.
The one person he wished would never hear this rumor. The one person whose opinion could still shake him. Yibo inhaled slowly, letting the air settle in his lungs before answering. "Hello."
No greeting.
Just a quiet, trembling voice. "Is it true?"
Yibo froze.
Zhan Xiao never sounded like this. Never fragile, never unsure. Behind Zhan's warm smile was always the strongest heart in the room. But right now, he sounded like a man who had just lost something. "Xiao, you know me," Yibo whispered. "I would never." "Then say it. Tell me it is not true." Yibo closed his eyes. "It is not true." There was a pause, a long, heavy silence full of unsaid thoughts. But even when the words were spoken, he heard it. Zhan Xiao didn't believe him. Not fully. Not yet. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share the story to keep the light burning for truth and compassion. By noon, the rumor had spread online. Anonymous posts, edited photos, headlines hinting at scandal. A blurry picture of Yibo with someone from a drama shoot that people twisted into something else. Zhan Xiao tried to ignore it, tried not to read the comments, but he couldn't stop. And he hated himself for it. He had always been confident, always trusted Yibo more than anyone else. But the rumor ignited something darker, something he didn't want to admit. Jealousy. Not of the girl in the rumor, but of the world that always demanded Yibo, took him away for filming, rehearsals, travel. The world that never asked Zhan Xiao what he felt. He sat alone in his apartment, fingertips trembling slightly as he scrolled through his phone. Yibo has been seen taking care of someone secretly. A woman rumored to be expecting. Sources say it might be his.
Lies.
All lies. But they were written so confidently, so quickly, so repeatedly that they wound themselves into Zhan Xiao's heart like thorns. He dropped the phone onto the couch and covered his face with both hands. Why does this hurt so much?" he whispered into the quiet room. That evening, Yibo arrived at Zhan Xiao's apartment, soaked from rain. He didn't knock. He used the passcode, the same one Zhan had set years ago when their friendship deepened into something more complicated, more unspoken, more fragile. Zhan looked up, startled. Yibo stepped inside, dripping water onto the floor. "You should change," Zhan murmured. "You'll get sick." Yibo ignored it. "Xiao," he said softly, "look at me." Zhan's eyes stayed fixed on the corner of the room.
Yibo stepped closer.
"Look at me." Finally, Zhan lifted his head, and Yibo saw everything. The hurt, the confusion, the jealousy, the fear of losing someone he never admitted he needed.
Yibo exhaled deeply.
"You think I could hide something like that from you?" he asked quietly. "I don't know," Zhan whispered. "You're always so hard to read. You keep everything inside. Your feelings, your thoughts to me."
Yibo's throat tightened.
"Xiao, I didn't do this. But people. I don't care about people. I care about you." Zhan blinked, breathing shallow. "Then why didn't you tell me earlier about the woman in the photos?"
Yibo sighed.
"She's a staff member. Her brother had an accident. I was helping her carry things to the hospital that night. Someone took a picture." Zhan swallowed. "I didn't know. Because you never ask." That stung. Zhan stood up abruptly. "I didn't ask because I shouldn't have to. I trust you. Or, I thought I did." Yibo stepped closer, voice low. "So you're jealous?" Zhan stiffened. His cheeks colored. I'm not. You are. A long silence. Then quietly. Yes. The admission hung between them like fire. Yibo's heart tightened. Not in pain this time, but something warmer. Good, he whispered. Because I want you to be. Zhan's eyes widened. Just as the tension between them reached a breaking point, Yibo's phone rang again. The manager.
Urgent.
Zhan waited as Yibo answered. He heard the voice through the speaker. Bo, it's the woman from the rumor. She wants to speak to you and Zhan together. She says she knows who started it. Yibo and Zhan exchanged a look. Zhan inhaled deeply. Let's go. Not as two actors. Not as friends. But as two people bound by something deeper. Trust fighting against jealousy. Loyalty fighting against fear. They walked out of the apartment side by side. They didn't hold hands. But the distance between them had changed. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this story to keep the light burning for truth and compassion. The cafe Yibo and Zhan Xiao walked into was nearly empty, its warm yellow lights reflecting off polished wooden tables. The rain outside hit the windows softly, creating a rhythm that matched the unspoken tension between the two men. At a corner table sat the woman whose blurry photo had spiraled into chaos online. Sujin. Dark circles under her eyes hinted. She had been crying. When she saw Yibo and Zhan Xiao approach, she stood immediately and bowed deeply. I'm so sorry, she whispered. To both of you. Yibo remained calm, but Zhan Xiao folded his arms defensively. Why did you call us here? Zhan asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Sujin took a shaky breath. Because the rumor isn't just a misunderstanding. Her eyes filled with guilt. It was planted. Yibo's expression darkened. Zhan's jaw tightened. Planted?
Yibo repeated quietly.
By who? Sujin looked down at her trembling hands. I didn't want to tell you at first, but I can't let you get hurt by something you had no part in. The rumor was started by someone from inside the studio. Someone who wanted to damage both of you. Zhan's breath hitched. Both of us. Yes, Sujin said, her voice cracking. They knew your bond, your closeness, would make the rumor explode if it looked like Bo was hiding something from you. Yibo and Zhan exchanged a tense glance. Their bond, their closeness, their unspoken connection that even strangers could see. It had turned into a weapon. Sujin hesitated before whispering. It was Director Han. Yibo felt the blood drain from his face.
Director Han.
A man known for his ambition, his jealousy of anyone more popular than him, and his ability to manipulate shadows behind the scenes. The man they had worked with on a variety show last year. A man who had grown increasingly irritated by their popularity and chemistry. Zhan's fists clenched at his sides. He did this just to break us apart? Sujin nodded helplessly. He overheard a conversation, something about how audiences loved your teamwork, your eyes when you looked at each other, how genuine it felt. He hated that. He thought if he created a scandal, both your images would take a hit, especially if jealousy became a factor. The word jealousy hung in the air like a haunting echo. Zhan shifted uncomfortably, but Yibo's eyes softened. Why are you telling us now? Yibo asked gently. Because I can't watch it destroy you, Sujin said, tears finally falling. You were only helping me that night. Nothing more. And yet you're the one suffering the consequences. Yibo leaned back, exhaling slowly through his nose. Zhan watched him, biting the inside of his cheek. He knew that look, Yibo's silent anger.
Cold. Precise.
The kind that always appeared when someone he cared about was being hurt. We'll handle this, Yibo said softly. After leaving the cafe, the rain had softened into a mist. The streetlights glowed golden, and puddles reflected their silhouettes as they walked. Zhan Xiao stayed quiet, hands shoved in his pockets, the weight of everything pressing down on him. Yibo walked beside him, his expression unreadable as always, but Zhan could sense the storm beneath his calm. She said the rumor was meant to hurt both of us, Zhan murmured.
Yibo nodded slowly.
I know. But why me? Zhan whispered. Why would the director think hurting me would hurt you? Yibo stopped walking. The city fell quiet around them. A single drop of water slid from Yibo's hair onto his cheek, like a tear he refused to shed. Because it's obvious, Xiao. Zhan blinked. What is? Yibo stepped closer, close enough that Zhan could feel the warmth of his breath. How much you mean to me. Zhan's heart jolted painfully, beautifully, confusingly in his chest. Yibo continued, his voice softer now, but no less intense. They used you because they knew if you were hurt, I'd fall apart. So they attacked what I care about most. Zhan swallowed hard. His throat felt impossibly tight. You're lying, he whispered, more to himself than to Yibo. Yibo shook his head slowly. I've never lied to you. Zhan's eyes glistened. Then why didn't you tell me sooner about how you feel? Yibo looked away, rain droplets forming in his eyelashes. Because I didn't think it mattered to you. Zhan felt something inside him break, and then rebuild stronger. Of course it matters, Bo. That's why you were jealous. Yibo asked quietly. Zhan flinched, cheeks warming as he looked at the wet pavement. Yes. And why you doubted me? Zhan's voice cracked softly. Yes. Yibo let out a long breath, not frustrated, not angry, relieved. He reached out carefully, as though touching something fragile, and brushed rain from Zhan's hair. You're so easy to read, Yibo murmured. Zhan glared half-heartedly, embarrassed. No, I'm not. Yes, you are, Yibo said, a tiny smile finally appearing. Especially to me. Zhan's heart raced. The quiet moment was broken when Yibo spoke again. Let's clear this rumor, he said.
Together.
Not separately. Not in silence. Zhan straightened, surprised. You want to go public with the truth?
Yibo nodded. Yes.
We reveal the source. We reveal Sujin's explanation, and we show them we're united.
No misunderstandings.
No jealousy between us. Zhan inhaled. And if people think we're too close? Yibo didn't even hesitate. I don't care. Zhan stared at him, stunned. Yibo continued. I care about you. I care about our work, our trust. If we hide, we lose. If we stand together, we win. Zhan felt something warm bloom in his chest, something he thought the rumors had stolen away.
Hope.
He nodded slowly. Okay, Zhan said softly. Let's do it. Yibo held his gaze. Together? Together, Zhan whispered. Their shadows merged on the wet pavement as they walked away, no longer separated by rumors or doubts. But they didn't know yet. The scandal had only just begun. The director had one final twist waiting. One that would hit even harder. One that would push jealousy into something far deeper. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share the story to keep the light burning for truth and compassion.